was hashtag Health and Fitness Monday right here on Ekse Live. And today we are joined by a health movement that is no stranger to the show. It is, of course, Ekse, and they are a health movement that provides mobile health services rather to abantu abasha, young people. And this is within the communities, and this is not just for young people, but anyone else who wants to make use of these services. They have mobile clinics in the Western Cape, in KwaZulu-Natal, in Gauteng, the Eastern Cape as well is not, of course, forgotten from that list. And they also have a WhatsApp line that runs 24/7, and this is a doctor line where young people can ask doctors and nurses any questions that they have 24/7. It is, of course, available to all the young people. They also provide testings for BMIs, your TBs, your diabetes. You know, they also provide child health services, which, of course, include counseling for health conditions and, of course, immunization. But, of course, I think it is enough for myself, Umihlali. Let's allow the people of the hour to, of course, tell us all about e-health movement. We are, of course, joined by Dr. Afifa and Dr. Luthando on the couch today. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always such a pleasure to have you guys in studio. How are you feeling? Let's start off there.
Thanks for having us, Mklali. It's always so exciting to be here and to see your smile and the way you describe Kiridi. You know, it's so amazing. So I love it. I love being here.
Thank you. Dr. Luthando, how are you?
No, I'm good, Mihlali. Thank you very much for having us today.
Thank you so much for making time to joining us rather here today on today's show. So really today we want to focus on social media part of Ekse, because, you know, I think Ekse, the way that it interacts with young people is a very unique way, because not every mobile clinic or health services does it the way that you guys do it, you know. So when we talk about, Dr. Afifa, when we talk about, you know, the social media channels that you use to actually educate young people, tell us a bit more about that, and how does that have a difference and an influence in young people's lives?
Thank you so much for the question. I love it. So we cater for audiences on all digital platforms, right? So we're active on X, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, as well as Twitter. And I mean, so there's a variety of different age groups on there, right? So we cater for all those different audiences. And how we actually make a difference in the lives of the youth is, you know, youth often has these reservations of going to the clinic because of the stigma attached to like family planning, HIV. So we actually alleviate that stigma by actually being accessible on social media, right? And we also target the underprivileged, poverty-stricken areas. So often the youth in those areas don't have the money, you know, and the means to commute to the clinic. So we save them that cost. And with exams, you know, June is looming upon us. So kids are studying, they have a busy social life. So we often save them time, you know, by standing in the lines of the clinics and waiting so long to actually get just a basic medical service. So all of those things are easily accessible on our digital platforms.
It's health services literally brought to your doorstep, so you have absolutely no complaint or no reason to not make sure that your health is up to point. But of course, when you talk about the fun reels, because we see the reels, we see the lives that you guys do on social media, it's a very interactive way, it's a very informative way to reach the young people, because know that, you know, I'm a 2K, 2000s, you know, young people, they're on their phone 24/7. So using that medium of media, being able to educate young people, I think is a very brilliant idea. How do you further do that, Dr. Luthando, making sure that you don't lose essence of the important information that you are sharing?
Yeah, Mihlali, I think first of all, one needs to understand that most of our youth, they basically use social media. So it's sort of like embedded in their lives. So we actually use the opportunity to then offer our health education. So we're working on the ground, we've identified some knowledge gaps, and then we use that obviously to make these nice short videos that are very attractive and interactive. So what we try and do is also we want to use something that is familiar to them, language that they can obviously, I mean, like that is relevant to them. So it's very important to do that. So what we do is we always even add memes on that as well, so that it's part of their learning. So we're trying to mix obviously this informal way of learning and then try and tailor it and bridge the gap between that, so that it becomes formal learning for them.
Oh man, that's absolutely incredible, and that's amazing. I love the fact that you mentioned memes, because you know that, you know, sometimes we can find humor in some of the social issues that we face, but it also, you know, sends out a very important message for people that are watching your reels, or people that are engaging in your IG lives. But but you also have a WhatsApp line that has doctors and nurses that are available 24/7. Let's dive a bit more into that one. And I wanted to also touch on the privacy on that, because you know that, confidentiality of one's health is a very, it's a very important thing to ensure that you build that trust as a doctor and a nurse. How does Giredi ensure this, and how can someone that is watching the show right now know that if I'm going to WhatsApp a doctor from Giredi, I know that, my privacy and everything that I'm sharing is going to be safe? And maybe has there been like, something that was shared on WhatsApp that you guys were like, whoa, this is a bit much? And how do you then deal with those type of questions that you find on your WhatsApp line?
Thanks for the question. So I'll answer the latter part first. I think the first thing that comes to mind, and I say this in a positive way and in the most non-judgmental way, is the myths I've heard about contraception. So somebody asked on the WhatsApp line if they drink Coke after having sexual intercourse, does that prevent pregnancy?
Sure.
And then also there was the one with if I wash myself with vinegar after sexual intercourse, does that prevent me from falling pregnant?
Wow.
So it just really shows the insight that sometimes people have with these type of topics, and we often address that on the WhatsApp line, and we see perhaps this is a common myth, and we know we bust that myth as soon as we see, this is a repetitive one coming in. And in terms of being confidential and completely private, we have no affiliation of the people's details. Whoever WhatsApp the line, there's no contact number, no name, no surname. We literally, being one of the doctors that answer those questions, we get a pool of questions that come through, and we just answer, based on our medical knowledge and as best we can, with no whatsoever information of the client coming through.
And of course, using social media as a medium to be able to communicate with young people, and also just having that assurity that, the questions that you're going to answer, the questions that you're going to ask rather, are going to be answered. How do you ensure that you keep that relationship between people that are interacting, whether it be on your Twitter, your Facebook, any other streaming platform, not streaming platform, but social media platform that we have?
Yeah, just to answer on that, Mihlali, so we do have, I'll make an example with our Insta Live, which is what we have ongoing every Wednesday at 7 p.m. So what we try and do is obviously invite or collaborate with expertise from different platforms and also from different departments. And then what we do is we try and obviously sort out some of these knowledge gaps that we have identified. We have a comment section where we allow for peer support and peer learning, so whereby we answer to some of these questions. So we, even as doctors, can pose some of these questions in a form of misconception and see what is the public saying. So what we try and do is obviously we try and sort out the issue of the stigma as well. We're trying to destigmatize most of this misconception, and also some of the questions that they have on the ground as well. So in doing so, but we also try and make that an interactive platform where you can consult basically for free. You have doctors that are available that you can consult at the leverage of your own sitting at home, and then you can ask them any question. So we're very flexible. We don't have a very straightforward questions that we only ask, but we're very flexible, and we're understanding that we're dealing with young people.
Oh man, I absolutely love that, and thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Unfortunately, we have run out of time, but I think one thing that I'm taking away from this conversation is that, number one, there is so many misconceptions that still need to be destigmatized. There's so many education that needs to go through, especially to young people. So shout out to you guys for the incredible work that you do. It's absolutely amazing. But of course, I want to head over to Ulorize and see what our social media question of the day is.